let's talk just generally about breaking the stigma of mental health. I've seen for myself that many people are reluctant to open up and talk about their challenges, and I think it's easy to feel like what they're going through is not as significant as, say, somebody battling a physical sickness, but in many ways, they're going through the same symptoms and emotions and challenges as somebody who has some other diagnosis physically.
No, and it's real, and we were talking about this a little bit. If we can be open to sharing our stories, regardless of what it is, it can be mental health, it can be about our children. You know, we're so afraid to talk about what's happening in our children's lives because we're thinking that someone is going to judge us and say, you must be good parenting, right?
Right.
And if we are sharing all the things, then it gives people the platform to be able to feel okay to do the same. And again, to the stigma, as we spoke earlier, if we are labeling this as something in a negative, then we prevent others from being open and from communicating and sharing. We need to be able to share our stories because there is somebody that is going to take that information and feel like they can be open and share their stories. And that's how we break the stigma. And we honor our loved ones by having compassion for where they were so that we can show others that it's okay to not be okay.
Yes. And as we are willing to share our vulnerability, they become more likely to be vulnerable as well, and to open up and have those honest, open, difficult conversations that change hearts and change minds.
Agree. And I heard this message from someone else years ago that when someone is sharing something that has happened to them, or as a child coming to a parent and being able to be open with a parent, we have to treat those situations like a first responder. And
Yes.
so, as an example, let's say your teen comes to you or a friend comes to you and they tell you, I just got in a car accident. If you're in a car accident and you pull over to the side of the road and the police officer walks up to you, does he come at you and say, look what you've done? Can you believe you just did this? You caused this massive accident. All these people have had to pull over on the side of the road and now they can't get whatever, right? All of these reactions that come into place. No, they don't do that. They come up to the car and they say, are you okay? What can I do for you? And then they get into the information. So as the people that are listening and the parents that your child's coming to you, if we can respond in a way that gives them the trust that we can handle it, then they will share more with us.
Yes.
If they see that we cannot handle it, then they're going to close off and they are not going to share. So as a friend, as a spouse, as a parent, as a sibling, we need to be a safe space.
Yeah, that's a great reminder. And honestly, sometimes it's difficult because you, as an imperfect human, are going through your own set of emotions and challenges. And there are times when your patience is up. And sadly, I've been there before. So to have the compassion to override what you're feeling inside in favor of the one who's really struggling.
Yes. That would be my advice. And I wasn't perfect at it.
No, I mean, none of us are.
I
There's no training manual for most people who are supporting somebody with mental health challenges. They're simply doing the best that they can. And they may be reading and studying and talking to others for advice. But when it comes right down to a one-on-one conversation, you may not know exactly what to say.
Right.
And I don't know that it matters that you have something perfect to say. We can show up imperfectly and still have a perfect effect.
Yes.
On the one that we love.
I love that. Yes.
What are some of the myths or misconceptions about suicide that you'd like to break down with the community?
I would have to go back to what we talked about. A myth would be that it's a selfish act and that it's something that you can control. I mean, that's the big one. And so back to what I had talked about, that we have to have a little bit more understanding and compassion, and we have to take the time to be aware, because suicide doesn't show up blatantly. It's hidden,
Yes.
and it's deceptive. And you know, Taylor had a beautiful energy about him. Taylor would walk in a room and the room would change.
Yes.
And people didn't know why. They just knew they would gravitate towards him. And he had this smile that he carried. But what nobody understood or realized is that he had a really good mask.
Yeah.
And you know, and so my point is, Taylor had a very loving, supportive family. He had a lot of friends. He had everything that, you know, most people don't have. And so you would have looked at that, they looked at him and it was beautiful. He had more girlfriends than we even could keep track of. And all of the things, and what, you know, people thought was, well, how did this happen? So suicide wears a mask, and we need to dig deeper. We need to be more aware. And the people that are really loud, that are a lot of energy, and that have a big smile, you need to be asking questions.
Ooh.
And you need to be taking the time to say, are you okay? And the ones that are isolating, that you're not hearing from, you need to reach out. We need to reach out. We need to do better when it comes to staying in touch. And life gets away, and we get busy.
It does.
But that would be a lot. That was a lot, wasn't it?
No, I mean, it's absolutely perfect. I would say the same was Tara's situation. She also would light up a room, yet she didn't open up that dark side of her as easily as I wish that she had. She would talk to me and she shared some things with me, but for most people on the outside, looking at the highlight reel of Instagram,
Right.
that have no idea that she was truly struggling. And I love your reminder that we need to take the time to act and ask, and then be very perceptive about that conversation. Because it's one thing to say, hey, how are you, Christy? And you're like, oh, everything's great. But it's another to like look you in the eyeballs and say, no, really, like, you
Right.
seem a little off. Can you talk to me about what's going on?
Yes. Yes.
Wow. So I think that's a great way to explain what we can do for those who are struggling with mental health challenges and suicidal ideation. What about those that have lost somebody, either to suicide or something else? I know you've given this lots of thought, as have I. How do you think we can best show up for somebody who has lost a loved one to suicide?
Such a good question. And I hear so many stories where someone that has lost, whether it's a child, a spouse, it doesn't matter the loss, and other people that don't know loss really struggle knowing how to show up. And oftentimes they think that the person should be over it, or that they should move on. And I think that's where we really need to take a hard look at ourselves and how we show up. And the best way, I say, is to have patience for the journey that they are about to encounter.
Ooh, yes.
And to know that there is no timeline on it, and that it is going to be a roller coaster of emotions for a few years. And depending on the support that that person is getting, whether it's from family or therapy or whatever, is going to help determine the length of time. Now, grief does soften with time, and able to be in a space to do the work, but it never goes away, and they will never be over it. And that's the first thing we have to do. If you have someone in your circle that has lost a loved one, I highly recommend going to the website Center for Loss. Dr. Ellen Wolfout has a whole library of books that he has written on how to support someone that is grieving, on the different types of grief. And there is one book that I hand out to people when they call me and say, what do I do? And how do I support this person? It's a book called Companioning the Bereaved. And there is a wealth of information on how you can show up for that person. First and foremost, I say, you cannot fix this. There is nothing you can say that is going to change it. Do
Right.
not say they're in a better place. Do not say, oh, God had a plan for them.
Right.
Do not say that you're going to find some sort of reprieve from something. No. Sit with them. If you're willing to go to the wilderness with them, because it is going to be a wild ride, then you are an angel in their space.
Yeah.
Um,
To feel it with them,
yeah.
to grieve with them, to try to put yourself in a place where you're feeling the emotions that they're feeling,
Yes.
and helping them heal by doing that.
And I always like to say to do not be afraid to say their name, because you are not reminding them that they have died. What you're doing is you're reminding them that you remember. And when someone says Taylor's name, the biggest smile comes on my face, because I want to hear his name.
Yeah.
And I want to know that you care and that you have a story or a memory that you can share with me about him. Is that helpful?
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful, because you're right. You don't want your loved one to be forgotten. You want their legacy and their impact to continue beyond their physical life,
Yes.
live on in the hearts of those who love them.
Yes.
That's really nice. And it's hard to be a support. Like, I want to, in my heart, I want to be, but in order to be a really good support, I've almost got to be disciplined about putting calendar reminders out there. Like you said, the grieving doesn't go away in the first week or the second week. It could be in month 4, it could be in year 15.
Right.
Those people who have lost will always appreciate somebody being sensitive enough to say, hey, I realize it's been a while, but how are you feeling about losing Taylor, losing
Yes.
your loved one? Tell me what you've thought about them lately, and celebrate their life.
Yes. I am always just so grateful when one of the boys reaches out to me on an anniversary or his birthday and shares that they're thinking of Taylor, or they say, share something that Taylor taught them, or whatever it is. I'm always so grateful for those people to reach out, because they know that that week's always a hard one for me.
So cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Whew.
Heavy stuff.
It is heavy stuff, but I appreciate willingness to be open to the conversation, to share what's in your heart. Hopefully, we can share something that will help other people who are struggling themselves or struggling to support a loved one.
Yes. That's it.